make sure it does. Okay? So that's his pecs. Yeah, there's only one problem with this guy. He's got a pec minor that will not shut off. That pec is got a cahoot with a lat. She's a swimmer, breaststroker, loves them, can't get enough of it. Faster you go, the better pecs you have. The better pecs you have, the more you're going to do in the water with a leg flipping with a good strong lat that stops your trunk from waddling over the next lane. So pesky pecs. This is overdeveloped pig farmer pec. He raises pigs, and he's got buckets in his hands. And he picks those buckets every day, and he picks them up with his what? Pec. And he turns the bucket over and shakes it every day with his what? Pec. These people are real. That's a pec problem. Sell your pigs. Okay? And what you did. Okay, this is another swimmer. Okay? Overdeveloped hip flexors. This little guy is a little, could be your son. His little torso has got a nice little pectus. They want to send him to a surgeon in Omaha to do a bar across his chest so he doesn't keep going in. I'm okay with that if you tell me that you did everything in the world possible to expand which chest wall in that kid. He's your kid. He's your kid. What are you going to do with that kid? I get passionate about it. What are you going to do with that kid? Look at him. Which chest wall is not inflated?
Right.
Gosh, you guys, inflate that chest wall, because all the bars in the world is not going to keep that chest wall inflated. He's your neighbor boy. What are you going to do with that kid? What are you going to do with that kid? Don't tell me anything else. Just tell me you're going to make sure those ribs are going to start to what? Heidi, over lunch, what are we going to do with those kids? They're going to get on a 20-minute program of sweat where they've got aerobically what? For 20 minutes. Get a blood pressure up there. Get the heart rate up there. Get a boiler to move some heat. You understand what I'm saying? I didn't say go fast in 5 minutes you're done. I said the first 5 minutes you're just kind of getting into it. And then you got 5 minutes of boiling point. 65% of your target heart rate, somewhere in there. 5 to 10 minutes of that, my young man. And I'll bet you he probably won't need a bar across his chest. With a little attitude on which side, he should just do right. He should just do fine. A little attitude on the right side, which means we're going to keep his left side what? Loaded. He's a little kid. He doesn't even know what the floor feels like on the left side. He doesn't even know where he's at on the left side. I'll put weight on your right foot, so you got to pick it up by putting weight on the floor with the left. Did you understand what I just did? I'll put a little right weight on you just so you can feel how that left leg's got to what? Work. I'll even tape it to your side over here. I don't care what it takes. This kid's got to get his chest wall to do what again? Look at him. Expand that right side. He's telling you that. Why am I small? Why am I big? This is where I get passionate, Linda, because why are we looking at scoliosis? Everybody's so excited about finding a scoliotic patient. Well, they're sticking right in front of you. Don't look at their back. Look at their front. Look at their ribs. Look at their shoulder. Look at their SCMs. Look at their pecs. Look at their first rib. Look at their flares. You don't need to run your spine, hand up a spine. That kid's got scoliosis. Maybe only 10 degrees, but he has scoliosis. You know what? It's functional. It's going to go away with the balloon. You lost 10 degrees with the balloon. When does it become kind of structural? When the rib starts to become misshaped because of age. It's structural. Here's your notochord. There's your spinal cord. This is the back. This is the front. Okay? So you're looking at this as the head's coming out towards you. This is the front. On the right side, you're going to see a pretty sharp angle. On the left side, you're going to see a broad angle. This is a rib hump. That little boy is developing a rib hump. And when that rib hump becomes permanized, not a word, you got a problem. Which is why I'm passionate. Why would you wait till that happens? Why take that risk on that little kid? This kid right now needs to keep this spine doing this and this, back and forth. So this does not happen. So this flare on the left side does what? Not happen. Hey, if you have a flare on the left side, you're going to flare on the right side. A flare on the right side is a rib hump. A flare on the left side is a left flare. That's twist. The right side always what, Tessa? Wins. So then you look at these ribs and you see a little bit of an angled rib. That is not going to change. That's acuity. That's not obtuse. That's narrow. It's not going to change. That happens around the age, about 13, 14. Your growth spurts, what I'm saying? Your iliums are starting to fuse up. Don't let it happen. Just ask them the question. I can guarantee if I see a kid like that delivering my mail, we're going to be talking. Okay? So that's a major, major issue. He's got a hip flexor that's over tight. Besides the pecs, we'll tell you the second biggest group that creates this problem are your hip flexors. Your hip flexors are very, very, very prevalent people when it comes to reorganizing your rib cage. Hip flexors. Psoas. You got a minor? I'm not talking about it. Major. Psoas major. Goes right to the spine. Your hip flexor. Your rectus goes to your nominate. It also can have an impact on your lordosis. Little kid needs some activity with his rib cage. Florence, we talked about before. Who did I talk about? Was it you? Is it Rick? Yep. Florence. Posture is a composite of the positions of all the joints of the body at any given moment. If a position is habitual, there will be a correlation between the alignment and muscle test findings. Well, that is so true, which is why I took that information and I'm going to now give you muscle test findings, alignment findings that reflects posture, which is a composite of positions in many joints of the body. So we're going to look at different joints. We'll look at today an arm. We'll look at a leg. We'll look at chest, and we'll see the relationships. It's a composite. So parafunctional habits are commonly seen with people who have ride dominance with those composition of habits, composition of patterns. We went over a lot of this. Probably the one that's probably most importantly not considered is not how you stand, not how you sleep, not how you cross your legs, not how you lead yourself with your head, not how you carry your shoulders, not how you work. But this one, how do you actively move your upper extremities when you walk? How are you reciprocating? You saw some people not moving their arms. When I don't see a right arm move, I'm pretty sure you're going to have a little pectus. You're going to have a little attitude in terms of not being able to fully get over to the other side and then rotate to that side. So we see a lot of people walking without arm swing. I came from a school where arm swing wasn't even discussed. It was all about the leg. Jacqueline Perry, reader. Beautiful. Got it in the library. What happened to the arm? Where did the arm go? Arm for gait is more important than legs for gait, because if you don't have an arm, you can't rotate. Now you're directing your gait. You're either going to be a horse that walks clockwise or a horse that walks what? Counterclockwise. And then you got to compensate to walk a straight line. And when you can't walk a straight line, you're probably better, because at that point I know you're not in a pathological state. People walking a straight line that make things look like they're even are probably pathologic, because they shouldn't probably be doing that. I always like to see a runner get off a shock block and drift over to one side. That means they're not pathologic. But if they're going straight forward, Stephanie, I guarantee you they're pathologic. Florence will tell you that. That faulty posture is a combination of multiple joints and muscles doing something in a similar way for that outcome. If you can walk and move in a straight line and you have a body that cannot reciprocate, you're pathologic. You're going to fail. Something's got, some joint, some ligament had to give for you to be that good at what you do. And that's probably the one you ought to circle right there. In your appendix, you have a thing. I'm not going to turn there, Jen, but if you all would take a minute, I'll ask you to do it. Go to your appendix and look at the repositioning pages in your appendix on page 27. What page is it? 43. So please go to page 43 in your appendix. And what you're going to find are things that we could probably do for these kids, these people, to offset this parafunctional common faulty habit that you have as a human being. So these are things I would encourage you to do. And Jen and I go round and round on this. Next 2 years, I guarantee you're going to see high-tech stuff on that page. In other words, not a picture. But what is it you do with anything in life that reflects the pictures? What should you be considerate of when you position yourself? What things should you be aware of? What dynamic activities should you say? Before I engage hitting that chair with my seat, I really want to make sure the following things are in place. Yeah, that you don't have. What you have is when you go to the chair, stand on your left leg. Do you follow me? It's just a cheat sheet. I like it, but it's not where I want to see us. So it's going to change, right, Jen? But that's what you got. You got right now is what we had back then, and we will have forever. What do you do when you sit, stand, sleep, reach out of a cupboard, get on a bicycle? Is that one in there? Yeah. Good stuff. How do you drive a car? Good stuff. But honestly, there's so much more. There's so much more going on. So that's on page 27. What's the word on page 27? What's the word? What are we trying to do with this? By doing those things, it's not 27, it's page 40 what? 43. Page 43. What are we trying to do on page 43? We are trying to get this not to become a problem. That's 1/2 of the gate cycle. And to get that gate cycle to do this on both sides, you need to do this. What? Reposition. And so that handout is telling you how to reposition yourself. To get into positions that you're not familiar with cortically, structurally, neurologically cortically, the ventilatory activity, and if you want to take it one step further, circulatory. That's a position, that position stuff will keep you fairly honest. Okay? But it's a start. Okay? So this is Owen, real quickly. Owen comes into me. His mom is a runner. His dad's a tall, lean machine. Little Owen has pesky pecs. He's a good-looking kid. He's got a little kyphosis. He chose parents that have long legs. Okay? His little femurs are pretty doggone long. He holds himself up with his hip flexors. Everybody with me? His hip flexors are holding him up. He's kyphotic. It looks like he's got a ton of flexion in me. Doesn't it? When he stands, what do you think he's going to do when he stands up? When he sits, he's as kyphotic as they get. But when he stands, Chad, he is going to go into what? Lordosis. So Owen can't even begin to get close to his toes. So I asked him to sit and see his little eccentric activity pulling his sternum down. Let's see, do I want my sternum to pull my esophagus? Thank you. Thank you very much. Because literally, you guys realize you lay Owen on his back, he can't breathe. The wording in life, kyphosis, irritates me because it's like it's coming from the spine. His kyphosis isn't coming from his spine. His kyphosis is coming from his ventilatory system. Did I lose you on that? Little Owen can't sit up. Why? Because his little eccentric long rectus is so actively holding himself up with his short hip flexors that he can't sit up. So when I ask him to sit up, well, how long do I have to stay here? And if I send him home and get on a Swiss ball to stretch himself out, that's not going to